A question to a rideshare driver left a Toronto woman on the side of the road after she says she asked for a reasonable accommodation. Not only was she turned down, but she was also kicked out of the vehicle minutes into the ride.
So I asked him if he had a mask, and he immediately started to get very defensive and upset with me.
That's the question Bev Herskovich says started it all. She was getting picked up from a Toronto hospital on Monday. When her Uber driver arrived,
He wasn't wearing a mask, the driver, which is fine because he doesn't have to. But I wanted him to just because I'm having surgery in a month and I really don't want to get sick and risk having it postponed.
Since April, Uber no longer requires drivers and passengers to wear masks.
I know people say like, oh, well, as long as you're wearing a mask, it's his personal choice not to. But like, the mask is more to protect other people. Like it does protect me. I was wearing an N95.
Beth says she was still willing to ride with the driver, thinking she would instead ask him to roll down all the windows.
He like pulled over really quickly. He was yelling at me and he's like, I'm canceling your ride, get out of the car.
Bev submitted a report to Uber immediately and tweeted out the ordeal. They responded saying they'll remind the driver of the guidelines.
All they did was apologize and give me a $5 credit, and I personally feel like that's an unacceptable response.
Uber did not respond to our questions on whether the driver should have canceled the trip and if the company has policies on vulnerable riders who request masks. A spokesperson would only provide information for background, saying drivers have the right to not wear a mask or request their riders to wear a mask and can cancel a trip for safety reasons if the rider declines. Riders can reach out to their driver in advance through the app to request their driver to wear a mask. The rider can cancel the ride at any time in accordance with Uber's normal cancellation policies.
If I'm in an enclosed space that's a small vehicle, like they should have a policy that says, like, you know, if someone asks, put on the mask.
Bev used public transportation to get home, but says with the lifting of restrictions, companies should have policies and rules in place to protect and include those who are most vulnerable, especially when they ask for reasonable accommodations.
People's disabilities have been, frankly, ignored this entire pandemic, and our needs have been ignored. And now that the pandemic is seemingly over for some people, like, it's not over for us. And I'm not saying they have to completely change their lives, but I want people to know just what disabled people are experiencing.
Bev says she's still on track for her surgery next month. She adds that due to surgeries being paused during the pandemic, she's been waiting for this procedure since April 2021. In Toronto, I'm Faiza Amin for City News.